Thanks for being here. Thank you for being here. My name is Stephen French, and welcome to part 3 of Let's Clone Space Invaders. If you are new to this channel, then this series is a guide where I take you through how to make clones of classic games. Obviously starting with Space Invaders. If you haven't seen the earlier parts, then please check them out in the description down below. And if you have, let's get to it. In this quick part, we will be creating a script that generates all of the enemies to their desired locations. This way we can spawn all of them at the beginning of the game, and after we win the level, we can respawn them in the same location. It's pretty quick, pretty easy, and this will be a pretty short video. So let's dive into it. Most of the code we're going to do today will be inside of a script. Scripts are a pretty neat part of GameMaker that I really like. It's an easy way to clean up your code by creating a code that is outside of your step event, allowing other objects to use the same code, and allowing for some more advanced techniques that we will see in future games. But for now, let's make a blank one and get started with this. So we're going to click on this icon right here for create a script, or come down to script, create script. The first thing we need to do is give this script a name. Script enemy spawn. And we will create a title with the same name. So script enemy spawn. Now this script will contain some pretty basic code, but if you're unfamiliar with loops, then you might get a little bit lost. Basically, we know that we have 55 enemies. We have a top row of the stronger, faster shooting guys. We have a middle 2 rows of the intermediate bad guys, and the bottom 2 rows of the more basic bad guys. They all die the same way. The only difference is how quickly they shoot and how damaging their shots are, also the speed of their shots. Basically, we will have a for loop that you'll see in just a second that will run through 5 iterations. Then inside of each of those runs, we are going to loop through 11 iterations of a nested or an interior loop. This way, at every iteration, we can just paste the next bad guy, and we're good. They'll all just pop up on the screen. So it's pretty simple, and just follow along. If you don't know loops already, you'll understand them at least a bit after this. Now we're going to need 2 local variables for the x and y coordinates of each position. So we're going to do variable xx equals 128, and variable yy is equal to 64. So these variables xx and yy are the starting position for the first enemy in the grid. The rest will just be pasted after that. And now we can dive right into the loop. So for loops are structured as such. Inside of the for loop, we're going to give it parameters as far as where the loop will start, what it will be compared to, and then how quickly it will kind of increment or decrement depending on what type of loop you want. So we will fill out the first loop as such. Variable I is equal to 1, I is less than or equal to 5, I plus plus. Now what that means is that we have a local variable that, again, if you remember from last episode, will not be remembered outside of this script. We're setting that equal to 1. We are going to keep running this loop until I is less than or equal to 5, so we can get all of the rows. And we're going to increase I by 1 with every pass. Inside of that loop, we are going to create another for loop, very similar, but this time we will use an index j is equal to 1, and we will keep looping until j is less than or equal to 11, which is how many columns we have. And again, as well, increase by j plus plus. Now this code in here will run exactly 55 times. We're going to loop 5 times through the outside loop, 11 times through the inside loop, 5 times 11, pretty simple. And since we need to create 3 different types of enemies, we're going to do 3 different if statements to check which one we need to actually create. So we need to check which enemy we'll be creating, starting with the top. So if I is equal to 1, we know that we're creating the top enemy. So we will do that with instance create. For the x position, we will do xx plus 32 times j. And yy plus 32 times I. Oops, that's a 1. And here we will give this an object enemy top. So for the first enemy, the position will be at 128 plus 32. At the second run of the loop, it'll be 128 plus 64, and that'll keep carrying on for all of the rows and columns. But that is all only for the top enemy. So similarly, if I is less than 4, we are going to do the same thing. You can just copy paste from here, but change this to object enemy mid. And else, once again, object enemy bottom. And that's really all we need. Super quick, super simple. So to test this out, we need to go into the system object. In the create event where we have created the enemy info, we actually need to call that script. And this is how scripts work. So we can just call script underscore enemy spawn. And that's it. All of the code that we just typed in will be pasted right here. So if we middle click on that, it'll bring us to our script. We have our starting coordinates and then the nested loops to print them out. Before we test this, let's go into the game and delete any of the enemies that we already have. We don't need them overlapping. And really quick before we press play, I messed up a little bit. We need this to be an else if statement. That way we're not calling this instance create on the first line and then this instance create on the first through third line. We just don't want this to be seen if this has been seen. So that's all we need to change. Or at least that's all that I messed up on this time. And we can test it out. Good, and there we have it. We have the top row of tougher guys, middle row and bottom row. They're all moving across, they'll get to the end and they'll move down. Works pretty smooth. And all that's left to do is within our system event, once we've destroyed all of the enemies, instead of just winning the round, we want them to respawn. But before we test the game, let's remember that we have gone and made this change. Our enemies total last time we made 3 just because we had 3 on the map. So let's set that back to 55, which is how many should be in the real game. So we will go down to step, win or lose, and it's right here that we need to make all of our changes. So here, let's get rid of the debug message. We're going to keep this message for now. We'll clean this up a little bit more in the next part, but we don't need to restart the message. So show message pops up, gives us an OK button. Once that is pressed, we are going to call the enemy spawn again. So once we click OK, all of the enemies will spawn right back to where they were. We need to set our enemies back equal to enemies total. And we need to increase lives by 1, although lives is a bit different. And I forgot to add the move delay. We're going to set that back to 24. So if you don't remember what move delay does, every time we kill an enemy, we are making move delay a little bit smaller, which means that they have, I guess, faster moving speed or less time in between movements, so they get quicker the more that you kill. I will probably speed through this as it takes a while to kill all of them. And bang. All right. So we win. Now when we click OK, it should do nothing but respawn all of the enemies. Yes! Love when I screw things up. NMS. That's fun. Oh, where was that? That was in System Step Event 1. Enemies total. Let's try that again. Hit, 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 hit. Oops. You've sunk my battleship. Why am I so bad at this game? I can make the damn game, I just can't play it. Nice. Oh, we died once. We will be adding the animations for the death and everything in the next video, so don't worry about those. The flying T. And they're hella quick now. And the fastest one. Bang. So we win. Hitting OK should this time respawn all of the enemies. Bap. And it did. Very nice. Hits, 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 and we're on to playing another round. The barricades are still just as destroyed, making the game a little harder each time you play. And that's about it. You just keep on playing, building up that score, which we will learn next time how to use. So guys, that's pretty much it. I hope you enjoyed this short episode just cleaning up the enemies in this game. And that is it for this video. Thank you so much for following along so far with this series. We are almost done. In the next part, we will clean up the GUI so we can see how many points we have, how many lives we have left, and we will add the death animations for both the player, the enemies, and the UFO, which I guess is still kind of an enemy. Soon after that, I will get started in on Twitch with the next game, which I am thinking for now might be Bomberman. So follow me on social media to see when I'll be streaming that. And that is just about everything. I hope you guys are having a productive day, getting some shit done, and just having a lot of smiles. If you like this video, give it a bat. If you don't like this video, give it a bat. And if you have anything that you can't describe with a thumb, use your other fingers to type it in the comments. So one last time, thank you for being here. Peace.